For you guys, we recognize that all the live action for this round has finished. We're pairing round 4 right now. But to fill the downtime, we're going to do the last of the series that we were following anyways, which was Lucas versus Napoleon. We recognize that you guys some of you may know what happened, but we're going to just walk through it as if it was live, so that way you guys can catch in on the action, because I think Napoleon's a player that caught a lot of people's attention last year, and he did bring, once again, a very interesting lineup featuring Control Warrior. So I want to see what he's got for this series here.
We're going to get into game 4 of the match. Lucas leads 2-1 right now, and it will be Napoleon playing Reno Mage, while Lucas is playing. I'm actually going to. It is aggro?
No,
aggro.
Traditional.
No, it is Miracle Rogue.
Yep, it's Miracle Rogue featuring Beneath the Grounds. So trying to really mess with your opponents there, and hopefully ends up becoming a factor. I do want to point out that Napoleon actually did win with the Control Warrior against the Rogue. It was actually a really intense game, 1 damage off lethal for Lucas, so cool stuff there. Lucas, I really actually like this list in general for last week. Mm-hmm. I like it. I think it was fantastic, because Reno Mage was one of the biggest threats for the tournament, especially with Beneath the Ground, but I'm not sure if I'm feeling it this week here, Gibbler.
Yeah, one of the important things in competitive Hearthstone is really keeping up with the metagame, and that can change very quickly. If you're a player who was coming into this tournament, you really need to pay very close attention to what happened last week and what that meant for what people were going to do this week. And we saw a massive decline in the popularity of Reno Mage from 80% of the field to somewhere in the 50 or 60 range. And that means that cards like Beneath the Grounds are way weaker this week than they were last week.
But hey, it might work out now. If he's able to get this last win, Lucas will go up 2-1 heading into round number 4. Both these guys are at 1-1, I believe. Now, going into turn 5 here, do you want to remove this Tomb Pillager, or do you want to just develop your own Azure Drake and just feel like you can ignore it and let your opponent deal with what you have?
It's a pretty tough spot, because you're going into the Azure Drake turn for the Rogue, which can represent Azure Drake plus Backstab, which can kill your own Azure Drake. So I often like to try and keep the board a little bit clear if I can, but Napoleon looks to be mousing over that Azure Drake right here, and looks to potentially be wanting to dig. You also have the potentially just the option of Arcane Intellect plus Frostbolt. Okay. You can actually just leave up the Tomb Pillager here, dig a little bit deeper into your deck, and you even can ping and use your Forbidden Flame for 4 next turn, which could clear off even an Azure Drake as well. He looks like he may be going to use the Forbidden Flame for 1 and just trade in here. Or debating it at least, decided to just send the damage to the face.
Actually, I think Napoleon was just showing off his fabulous card back. The golden celebration that you get for making top 8 at a championship tour.
Yeah, that is a very pretty card back.
he held that card out for like literally a minute.
Check it out, guys. Check it out. Yeah. Look at me.
Remember how I got to the championship? Napoleon, of course, made a decent run, I believe, in the spring season of the championship, where Sidonia and Rosti end up playing into the finals. And looking to see if he can continue his run here in 2017. Picks up a Doomsayer, which doesn't necessarily deal with the Shaku. The Shaku is very intimidating here, but at least it forces your opponent to react to it.
Yeah, the Doomsayer plus hero power, as you mentioned, does force Lucas to do something here. He could potentially, he could sap this. He could also just kind of start going off with this auction here, thanks to the double coin plus preparation. So
yeah.
He could even cold build up the Shaku as well and kill the Doomsayer if he wants, rather than sap it back to the hand. So all kinds of options available. Whew.
Yeah, I do kind of like keeping sap, because there's a lot of other like late game stuff that you might want to use it on, but at the same time, I can't necessarily blame him for wanting to cycle for a lot of these cards. I do think that cycling the coin does have a lot of value as well. But it does also benefit to boost the Van Cleef as well as the Questing Adventurer. This is a turn that I feel like you can actually go back and debate a ton on like what the way to optimize it is.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons that in the recent promotions to the Hall of Fame, we heard that Auctioneer's a card that
quote promoted.
They want to keep around.
Brian Kibler, what happened to Conceal? Oh, Conceal is
it was promoted to a farm upstate.
That's what you said, our last pet too.
But Lucas, yeah, decent Auctioneer turn. Gets Flame Striked away though, but does have a lot of cards to rebuild thanks to all the card draw from Auctioneer. Interesting. Could have chosen to double coin out a fairly large Edwin there. and chooses to hold on to them thanks to the other auctioneer in the hand, I believe. This is a matchup, though, that you need to kind of, from the rogue perspective, have big threats like the Edwin stick, because if you don't, you can really run into situations where you just kind of run out of enough gas. You can draw through your entire deck, but often a big questing or a big Edwin end up being the way you have to win, simply because there's so much removal and so much life gain in the Reno Mage deck.
Yeah, and in fact, often, oh my goodness, Conceal is a massive draw here, and I mean that should be the big push from Lucas that he's looking for. Being able to buff up the questing and Edwin, which is something that I want to follow up on what you brought, Kibler, which is very insightful, is that both these cards are really important, but maybe playing both of them at the same time is what really pushes over the edge. Because Reno Mage can remove both, but over 2 turns, and you really need to get that damage and start threatening them. Conceal just compounds that. Look at that, 10-10 and 7-7. How does Reno Mage stop this? They need to draw stall right now.
Well, he did just sap a Doomsayer, and now we're gonna see Blizzard Doomsayer come back out, and that's both of the saps from Lucas. You know, he expended the first one, whereas he could have attacked. We mentioned earlier, he could have chosen to spend that damage killing the Doomsayer, and he now sapped it twice. And this is that same Doomsayer that he allowed to remain in the hand. It's going to kill both of these big threats. He has to find exactly Eviscerate here, I believe, to be able to take this down.
But he wouldn't even have enough.
Oh no, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have the mana to dagger up. He has no
no
tools to take this down. Just gonna keep going through his deck.
Hey, the Cryomancer could get buffed.
It's an opposing minion.
Oh, is it opposing? I haven't played the card enough to actually know what it does.
I actually had that in Arena once, and I was like, oh, sweet, Frost of a Cryomancer. I'm like, wait, it only got +2/+2? I thought it was for each one.
So what is it, a 7/7?
It's just a 7/7. It's just a
5-mana 7/7? I wouldn't play that. Come on.
But yeah, Lucas has expended all of these powerful resources. He's both Auctioneers gone, Edwin gone, Questing gone, and now Napoleon just Reno'd back up.
Yeah, not that the Reno really matters that much, but I think Lucas is just out of gas. Beneath the Ground's way too late, and hey, look, that was the deck that Lucas needed to target. He brought Rogue to try and kill Reno decks, and with that gone, Napoleon just has to win with his Reno Warlock, and I mean that is one more deck that he can get an advantage over, but you know, you got to be feeling a little bit nervous here. You're like, well, I definitely feel like I had a chance there.
I think the Miracle Rogue actually matches up better against the Warlock than it does against the Mage. The Mage has a lot more tools to interact early on. The Hero Power interacts very well against the Patches, the Buccaneer. You can just kill things more readily with cheap removal. Whereas the Warlock relies on getting individual big threats down, and Sap is so good against it.
True.
So I think that this is probably a stronger matchup for the Rogue than the Mage is.
All right, well, when we put it like that, I can't really disagree. So let's go into game number 5. Winner of this moves on to round 4 at a 2-1 score. The loser left to pick up the dust and most likely will not qualify for the top 8 quarterfinals happening tomorrow. So we're going to see what happens here in game number 2. Not the fastest start for Rogue. In fact, the opposite. Reno Lock's the one on the board early here.
Yeah, the Mistress of Mixtures really only costs you 2 mana, basically, to remove. You just attack it, then attack it again. You don't even really lose all that much life to it, thanks to the Death Rattle.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that we may actually just see a questing here. Yeah, this is... You're playing as Reno Lock, which only for early removal has a Shadow Bolt. So this is a matchup where you can just play Questing Adventurer on turn 3, and it can potentially just threaten to dominate the board. Here, Napoleon is like, okay, I'm going to at least force you to put some damage on your Questing Adventurer. But oh dear, this is not going to be damage to the Questing Adventurer. This is going to be 2 big Questing Adventurers.
Holy cow.
Oh god.
What on earth? This is turn 4. We have a 10-6 attack.
No big deal. Yeah. So speaking of reasons that this is a pretty good matchup for the Rogue deck, the fact that there is so little early interaction does make this kind of play is totally viable. And look at this. He has to have basically minion power overwhelming Shadow Flame. There's Beneath the Grounds even. Beneath the Grounds attack Conceal, you're just dead next turn, can't even Reno.
Yeah, Beneath the Grounds isn't really needed because the opponent doesn't even have Reno at this point, but it's nice
even if he did, you could just attack for 30 the turn after.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, look at that! Look at that!
Instant concede, don't blame him. There's no coming back from there because even if he drew Reno, way too late. Was that the quickest game all playoffs? Or in HCT history?
That's the quickest, like time-wise at least, that I've seen. Maybe not in turns. We've seen turn 4 kills or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that really goes to show, obviously great draw, extremely powerful draw. There wasn't an answer on Napoleon's side, but the fact that Lucas recognized I can just play this questing on 3. That's an important thing because lots of people they want to wait until they can play questing in a bunch of spells in a turn. But he knew that there's only Demon Wrath and Shadow Bolt that might be able to kill it, and just went in and it worked.
So I'm pretty sure you see Lucas there saying, I heard you played aggro rogue, and I'm going to one-up you with my double questing.
Even more aggro.
I'll show you a 10-6 on turn 4. And as a result, here are some of the standings. Some of the notable players. I believe we have 9 players that are currently undefeated. And they are Alan, Frozen, PK Snow, who you've seen twice on stream, Doc Pone, sounds very intimidating, Amnesiac, Ture, we have Dr. Oh, God. All right. We have Dr.
Jikaninki? That's like a Twitch chat, like username. So I try and pronounce, like, oh, you got my name wrong. I'm like, that's your fault. That's not my fault.
We have Watt, who I ran into a few times on ladder. He's a very good player. And then we have Killin All Day, who, ironically enough, we look at Napoleon, who just played. His deck list says Killin All Day kind of sucks.
That's what he literally the names. It's Kill, the first one, in, then All Day, and then Sucks. So the four names. You can see it right here.
There's got to be some inside joke with Napoleon Killin All Day, but looks like he's the one killing it. So it looks like we're going to see what happens in round number 4. Which is coming up for you guys. Hang tight. We're about halfway done to the first day here of Winter Playoffs. More action is coming up soon.